Greetings. Welcome to the Money Script Podcast. I'm your host, Johanse Harrison, financial advisor and financial literacy educator. In each episode, you'll hear incredible interviews and get tips and strategies that you can implement into your daily life to help you improve your money script and grow your wealth. Thank you for taking some time with me today. Let's get into this episode of the Money Script. Welcome back to the Money Script Podcast. So happy to be with all of you today. Thanks again for joining us. Season 2. So excited to be here with you on this wonderful, chilly December weekend, even though by the time I post this, it might be a December weekday. But anyways, that's what it is for us. I'm here with my good friend, the amazing actor, comedian, author, and most recently, my favorite podcaster, Mr. Finesse Mitchell. Finesse, welcome to the Money Script Podcast.
I don't know when you're going to post it, but I'll just say happy holidays. How about that?
It will be happy holiday. This will get posted within 7 days. Oh,
well then happy holidays. I hope everybody's keeping their sanity during this COVID Christmas. And I'm happy to be here, brother. Thanks for having me.
Indeed. Thank you. So let's jump into understand this because...
Oh, yeah.
First of all, when did you get the bug, and what inspired you to do it?
I started my podcast pre-COVID. We started in I think maybe February. Me and my friend Eugene Staples, Jeannie D's, as I call him, my super producer. But I had people telling me to start one for probably the last 2 years. I first found out about it by Tom Segura, who does Your Mom's House podcast. We were performing together in South Africa. And he just mentioned it to me 7 years ago, like 8 years,
oh, wow.
Hey man, I'm going to start doing this. He just started showing me how to work my Mac, basically. And he took me through iMovie, then he took me through the camera, and then he started mentioning podcasting. And I said, tell me what it is. And once he told me what it was, I was like, I don't want to do that. This is a face for TV. I don't want to just be audio. And 7 years later, he's probably pulling down like $30,000 a month in ads and stuff. And, but it really encouraged. And then he had me on his podcast. And so he's a big Florida State football fan. And I'm a big University of Miami Hurricanes fan. So we just started talking about the classic rivalries. And I just saw his whole setup in his house, in his garage, and I he was on show 500 and something, and he just was so happy that it was his show. He was controlling it. He had gotten tired. He and his wife Christina P., who's also a dope comic, stand-up comedian. But we get tired of submitting shows to the network and studios, and they don't want us. And so this was a way to control and have your own show, especially when video became a big, huge element of it. And it's like, it's your show. Do what you want to. You can't be censored. You can say whatever you want to say. And so basically, man, I got off my duff and started really focusing on it at the top of the year. We probably got like 4 or 5 episodes in. And then COVID hit. And during the first 3 months of just COVID and quarantining, because LA was really serious. LA County was really serious about it.
Really, still serious about it.
Still serious about it. It also gave me an excuse. I'm glad it happened. It gave me an excuse of, do I miss it? Did I really want to do that? Was I having fun doing that? And the answers to all those questions were yes. So then I started asking myself, I want my podcast to look a certain way, to sound a certain way. And I want to have guests. And I'm going to do 100 of them. And then I'm going to look up and see what I have versus like, how do we monetize? And how do we, I could care less, bro. I'm not there. I just really want to know. I have a manager who's always like, I want you to join this network and this, that. And I'm just like, let us figure out what we're doing. And so far, so good. We're on show 17. We just had Pooch Hall. If you want to go back and check out past episodes, we have Bob Saget and and my friend
keep,
D-Lay, my
yeah.
wife, Adrice DeBarge, and so many great guests. And we have Lonnie Love coming up and Tisha Campbell coming up. And I'm blessed in that regard that at least my brand is to the point where I can pick up the phone and say, hey, you want to talk with me on the podcast? And everybody's like, sure. When do you want to do it? And everybody doesn't say sure, but a good majority of people want to do it. And they see it and they like it. So they're like, yeah, I'll do it.
No, it's an hilarious podcast. I have not listened to Pooch Halls yet. It's in my queue. I got to get through all of my analyst podcasts. You know, I'd be on all that money stuff all the time.
You know what's funny, bro? Like, we just had Shantae Moore, and she, you know how you get loose after about 30, 40 minutes in? You get loose.
Yeah. Oh, no.
So she was just like, yeah, and, you know, it's cold at the crib. You know, I mean, I have a jacuzzi to keep me warm, but, you know, I don't have a man, you know. And, man, when I tell you my inbox and DM was just like, hook me up. I didn't know that many of my friends listened to it, and that told me they were full of shit because they never comment or like a post. But then they saw that one, and everybody's like, oh, yeah, man. So, yeah.
Well, yes, please check out his podcast, like it, leave a comment, get into the debates. There's a fierce debate that happens after just about every show. I think the most recent one that I decided to jump in on was about Kevin Hart's special that he should give 0 fucks. And yes, I just said it. I guess I'm gonna have to put the E on this one for explicit, not for everyone. But it was interesting, the perspective that you have as a comedian that's been in the industry for years and the criticism that he was getting. So I appreciate you just like you said, using your platform to just say what it is that you want to say, what's on your mind, have what guests you want to have on there. And I think that's something that we need more of, especially today.
I'm protecting my business. I'm protecting my industry. I'm protecting my industry from the fans that don't know we're protecting it from you. It's almost like Chappelle said in Sticks and Stones. Guess who this is?
Yep.
It's you. You know what I mean? So when you come to the club and you want to have an adult night and you want to hear stuff that you probably couldn't get on a TV show or whatever, are you coming to laugh or are you coming to critique and take notes? And the very people that we build up, from Cat Williams to Kevin Hart to Mike Epps to Chappelle, we'll tear them down if it's the cool thing to do. And the reason I got passionate about it because I was in that app Clubhouse, and it was very easy for people to jump on Kevin Hart. And the very person, this woman, and she was a comic, which I didn't appreciate. And then she said, yeah, but Chappelle is my favorite. And I'm like, whoa.
Wow.
Wait a minute. He says way more crazy stuff.
Way more.
Than Kevin Hart. So it's like we're picking and choosing who we find offensive. So I don't like that. And I'm just trying to protect our industry from the very consumer who's like, I wish somebody would say something funny or do something funny. Because we got to get past this very, very sensitive generation of newbies who are like, oh, that offends me. Oh, I don't like that. Well, you know what? You're 22. You've never been to a comedy club. You don't get to come in an industry that's been going on for 45, 100 years, and all of a sudden dictate the terms of what the people can speak about. Because clearly this wasn't an issue in the 80s and the 90s.
No.
No. So it must be a lot of new people saying, wait a minute. Well, I have a friend that's gay. I have a friend that's transgender. I have a friend and that offends me for her, who's not here. But if she was here, she'd have her feelings hurt. I'm like, we're not doing that.
So do you think someone like George Carlin how would his comedy stand up in today's times with the cancel culture?
I always use one of my favorite comedians, more in my era, Patrice O'Neal, rest in peace. And Patrice O'Neal was a beast and a savage, and it was cleverly done. And if you appreciated the art form, you'd be like, that wasn't just a sex joke. That was a well thought out joke. You know what I mean? And when he really wanted to like piss you off, then he would do that. He would go blue and just really go for the jugular. But he was such a smart comedian. What I loved about Carlin is that Carlin is famous for saying, I didn't start making money and realizing who I was until I stopped giving a F about what everybody thought. And the minute I said I don't care about people anymore, the minute you can do that and you're not worried about CBS, NBC, ABC, like where's my show? Where's my the minute you're like, I'm just a comic. I'm making, 30, 40,000 a weekend. I'm not caring what people are talking. If you're a fan, you're a fan. If you're not, you're not. And I think Carlin, in today's age, no. Being white, well, they would have canceled his ass quicker than Louis C.K. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But because he came at the time that he did, and a lot of comics, Sam Kinison couldn't survive here. Belushi couldn't survive here. Bob Saget can't even survive in this culture, and people don't even know he's one of the rough boys in the clubs. You know what I mean?
Yes, I've seen Bob Saget in the tiny little clubs in LA where it's just us, and I'm like, whoa, I had no idea, but I love it.
Yeah,
absolutely
man.
Love it. Yeah.
I think getting that instant gratification when it comes to getting straight to what everybody's thinking, but somebody said it out loud. That's our job. And it's okay to be a Republican, but you also got to laugh at Trump.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's okay to be a Democrat, but you also got to laugh at Obama. I don't like Hillary. Didn't vote for Hillary. I don't mind telling people I didn't vote for Hillary. But all of a sudden, did I lose you as an audience member and you're not listening to anything or nothing I said was funny before that part that I said that I didn't like Hillary Clinton? You know what I mean? So that's why I try to tell people to get out of their feelings, because you can't laugh for 35 minutes. And then in that minute, you say, you're the worst comic ever. And that goes on a lot, man.
Yeah, I see it. So we talked about the all of these different platforms and the CBSs, the NBCs. Because this is near the year-end show, one of the tips I'd like to give to the audience on the financial level is to take a full inventory of everybody that sneaks into your bank account in the middle of the night and takes money out. The Netflix, the Hulu, the Stars, the Disney. So I encourage you to do a full inventory at the end of the year and just, ask yourself, how often do I watch this? Do I really enjoy it? Not just for all of the television apps. So we're going to talk about those today, but look at it for everything. So I'm curious.
I'll go one better, bro. I was looking at my account, and you just happen to catch stuff. And I was like, LA Fitness? I ain't been there in 8 months. They've been taking money all this time. They know damn well they were supposed to put a pause. If they're not even open,
exactly,
how can you collect revenue?
They're in breach of contract. Yep, they have to have.
You just stole money because the contract was you would be open to take money out of my account. So yeah, man. So I got some words to pick with them on Monday.
So I'm curious, with a wife and children and all of them, I'm sure you have apps in your house that you're watching. If you could, if you had to turn one of them off, which one would be gone to? If it were Disney, Netflix, Hulu, if you just couldn't live with one of which one would it be?
I would turn off Netflix. I'm not a big Netflix watcher.
Wow.
To be honest with you, I'm a big news consumer. I'm a big sports consumer. And so the original programming in Netflix and the comedy specials in Netflix, if I had to take one off, I would take that one off. But anything kids related, I'm keeping all that. I got a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old. And you say your game plan is that they're not going to be raised by gadgets and technology or whatever. But after 3 or 4 tantrums, you're like, you throw that plan out the window. And a shout out to my wife, who's trying to, fight the powers that be. But I feel like it's an impossible battle. And the reason I'm stress-free and calm is because I don't mind giving my daughter the phone to watch YouTube Kids. But if she wants to not have them watch something like that, then that means you have to be hands-on and actually do something, which requires you to be there. And sometimes that's just as draining. So if you can't be your best self, it
requires us to put our own device down.
Yeah, to put our own device down.
Yep.
It's a perfect example. Today, I'm like, I gotta jump on at 11 and do your show. And at 10 o'clock, I jumped in Clubhouse, this new app, and I'm in a comedy room, and I'm just listening. And then all of a sudden, everybody's like, "Oh, snap! Finesse is in here." So now I'm on the panel, and now I'm talking. And my wife is like, "Why would you start that if you know you have to be on a Zoom call at 11, and then after that, you're telling me you're going to watch a football game at 12:30? So when do you know? You should have chose better. You
That
know what I
sounds
mean?
so
So,
familiar. I just got into Clubhouse yesterday, so I'll have to come check out your room.
uh-huh.
Shout out to my inviter. Thank you. I appreciate you. Um, and I did something similar. I got up this morning because I just got on yesterday. So it's like, let me get on in the morning and see what's going on. My wife was looking at me the same way. Don't you have a podcast? You said you were going to move the couches and the rug, and we got a new
Right.
dog, and here's your daughter. And she got her iPad taken away yesterday.
Uh-huh.
So she needs to be entertained. So I was in the app for maybe 5 minutes, and then I had to.
Dude, it is addictive. It's a huge three-way call. It's a huge three-way call on Boost Mobile, basically.
Oh, wow.
And everybody's chirping. You know what I mean? And it's addictive because we all want to speak. We all have an opinion. And especially if you're an artist or a performer and you just want to connect with your fan base or whatever, but more so, we're all addicted to the microphone. And so that's what I'm learning. And so I try to go in now and listen a lot, but a lot of times I get called up to speak. But it's another new addiction. It's worse than Instagram because you're sitting there waiting for likes on Instagram or waiting for a comment when a person can actually just talk to you and tell you, "Hey man, I really love your work and here's why." And you're like, somebody appreciates me. I knew I should have came here earlier. You know what I mean? I should have come here earlier. So it's that type of thing, bro. It's addictive.
Yeah, well, I actually look forward to getting addicted to it because I got a lot of recommendations from clients saying, "Hey, you should start a room on Clubhouse." And so, because I'll do financial literacy workshops from time to time via Zoom. And as I was advertising for some of those since Clubhouse came around, I guess in the last 2 months, I guess it's been, well,
Right.
probably it's been a little bit, it's been on the low for a little while longer than that. They were saying to me, "Hey, I can't make it to this, but what if you just did it on Clubhouse?" And I was like, "What is a Clubhouse? What are these kids talking about these days?"
And for financial literacy, real estate advice, the music industry advice, TV advice, buying your first home advice, operating a podcast and monetizing advice, it's great because everybody has the potential to pop into your room. And so when somebody is telling me, black people and invest in money, and that's the name of the room, I'm like, okay, I'm black. Let me see what they're talking about. And I pop in. And when you pop in and it's Hill Harper and Tyrese and all these random people that are making moves behind the scenes outside of their industry, you're like, oh, okay. Well, this is the right room I'm supposed to be in. You know what I mean? They have a Bitcoin room. They have all types of rooms. So it's dope because anybody can pop in, bro, and then learn what you got, and just hear what you got to say.
All right. Well, I'll be starting a room sometime next week. There'll be one more fun thing to add to my list for me to be staring at my gadget instead of.
I know. But you know what? It's a trade-off, Johannes. I tell my wife that, I get it. I understand it. But for us self-employed people, there has to be a balance of, I need to try to chase a bag that's 4 months out.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, I need to plant seeds now. So you never know. Me joining this conversation, and then all of a sudden somebody DMs me and is like, "Hey, would you like to join this tour in 2021?" I'm like, that never would have happened if they didn't hear me speaking in a freaking social media app.
It's true.
Which provides security for us because all of a sudden we just made, I don't know, maybe 80K in the next 4 months, just doing his show in addition to everything else you have going on. Well, you know what? Maybe our daughters can use that money. Maybe we can buy an investment property. And a shout out to my wife. She just bought her first investment property in Grand Rapids.
Oh, nice.
Grand Rapids, Michigan. So I'm very proud of her about that.
Don't knock that area. I own property in Sandusky, Ohio.
Okay. Well, I feel a little better because what I always know about Grand Rapids is, for whatever reason, it is one of the most expensive airports to fly into directly.
Really?
Grand Rapids and that one in Virginia Beach, Newport News, or something like that. I don't know. But some airports, you go on Orbit, so these discount airlines, and it costs you maybe $350 to fly round trip into Detroit. But if you fly directly into Grand Rapids, it's a $750 flight, and you're like, what the hell is going on in Grand Rapids? And so a lot of people will fly into Detroit and then drive 2 hours to Grand Rapids.
Oh wow!
I don't know.
Interesting.
What? But anyway, shout out to her, because one of our goals before COVID hit was to like really just get into diversifying what little dough we do have. You know what I mean? And having that money work for us. And my family just purchased a school in Atlanta, an old school in the West End, the Black historic West End in Atlanta, Georgia. Only because I'm like, this would be amazing for shooting anything. It's 3 floors, 20,000 square feet. And it's amazing, man, because it's like everybody's shooting in Atlanta. So we were really excited because everybody's like, what are you going to do with the school? Oh, you're going to teach kids? I said, nope. Well, maybe eventually you could use part of it for that. But it was just another thing of thinking outside of the box of what to put your money into. It's not like we're going to lose money on this school and in this area because it's on the belt line in Atlanta. And if you've heard anything about Atlanta other than it not shutting down for COVID, there's this thing about the belt line, which
Atlanta did not shut down.
Any property that's along the belt line is just, doubling in value. So I'm excited about that as well.
All of the random stories I saw of parties, they were either in Florida or Atlanta.
I know people who live Chicago, LA, New York, Philly, who are flying down to Atlanta just to have the party they want to have because there are no restrictions. And it's just amazing what we'll do, man. Like, we see it on the news, we see the number of deaths, but until it touches you personally, then you won't change your tune. And it's unfortunate. And on the back end of that, you won't even take the vaccine until you see at least 100,000 people take it and a year has gone by and those people are still around. So it's like, you don't want to like keep people from getting COVID and do the prevention methods. And you don't want to partake in the cure or the vaccine. So it's just like, go figure.
It's just hard. It's invisible. Mm-hmm. So I feel it's really hard for humans to understand an enemy they cannot see. And so,
you know what I say to that though? And I'm just like the politicians. If it hits your house, you can't see the death.
That's true. But until you do, that's what I'm saying. That's, and because they can't see it, it's not real. Like you said, I'm agreeing with you. It's not real until they are really affected by it. I'm dealing with that with my oldest, with Seth. The virus ran through his school right before Thanksgiving. Okay. And so I'm on my way to meet him and his roommate in Austin. And we're trying to figure out how do we incorporate this kid into our house. My mother-in-law lives with us and she cannot get sick. And so he tells me on his way, oh, by the way, my girlfriend tested positive on Monday. I said, when's the last time you saw her? Sunday? I was like, oh,
right.
Okay.
Right.
I didn't even have to ask any other questions. I was like, I know, I know that you guys exchange bodily fluids. I'm confident of that.
Right.
So I have him meet me at a clinic to get tested.
Okay.
The nurse practitioner says, well, we got to test you both because you're riding together, because you rode together, because she was under misconception that we had drove from New Orleans as we were telling the story of why we're there. And I said, no, I just got here. It's like, well, might as well get tested too. Fine. The doctor tells us if one of us tests positive, we're both positive. I said, oh, my wife is going to flip.
Right.
So we both tested negative, thank goodness. But still, my doctor told me that he should still quarantine and sit separately at the Thanksgiving table, all that stuff, and take another test in a few days because he had so much contact with someone that was known to be positive. Add insult to injury, the gentleman that he rode in the car with was also positive at that time. So like I said, it ran all the way through. So fortunately, he was negative for both. So now he's in our bubble. And then he says, Dad, can my girlfriend come over? I was like, son, you've got to be kidding me. So yeah, but
Right.
she already had it. I was like, no, 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 no.
Well, people think that if they've already had it, they're immune to it. And that they're immune to the symptoms, and that's fine. But carrying the virus,
There
you
you go.
still have that. And anybody else who hasn't had it, oh yeah. I think in the beginning of the year, before we knew what it was, because I still to this day, and I talked to my wife about it, I said, I don't know what city I was in, but all I know is waking up that Sunday morning and feeling not right, right? But then the show happened that Sunday evening, and then I went back to the room. And I felt like I hacked up a lung from that night to that morning,
Mm.
to the point where I felt like if anybody was in an adjoining hotel room, they would have called down and said, yo, y'all need to check on whoever in 344 because this dude is dying. And I really felt like, holy crap, like what is going on with me? And so I chalked it up to my extracurricular activities,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe that I just, partied a little bit too much. And I was like, no, something's wrong with me. And I ended up getting on the flight. I was like the outbreak monkey. I probably infected everybody on that flight.
Patient zero. There you go.
Yeah. And then but next thing I know, I kind of felt better. But for like 2 days I felt it, where shortness of breath, I couldn't, like, I don't know what it was. Now that I know a little bit about COVID, it was like, I didn't lose my sense of smell and my sense of taste. I didn't have trouble breathing to the point where I'm like, oh, I need a ventilator, that type of thing. But I didn't know what it was. And so March came around and boom, there's this thing called COVID trickling out there. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I started canceling shows because the news really started talking about it. And that very week, Tom Hanks got it. And that's when it was just like real, real.
Yeah.
When Tom Hanks got it, it was real, real. So then it was like, oh, okay. But now, bro, I mean, anybody you talk to that's over 40, they got a COVID story. They know somebody who's in the hospital, who had a huge scare, or somebody who actually passed away. And it's just hard to get the young folks and the people who are just Trumpers who are like, damn you with these masks, and it's my right to die if that's what I want to do. It's hard to get them, only because the precedent on the outset wasn't set by the commander in chief, in my opinion. I'm sorry, but if your president says, hey, this thing could kill you, put on a mask. It's a lot of people going mask shopping. And next thing you know, and you getting creative with your mask. But if the president is fearful of it, you'll pretty much be fearful of it, because you're like, well, he got all the best, resources available to him, and he's scared. But because that was never promoted, like Make America Great Again was promoted, because that was never promoted, because we are a society that we love great marketing, right?
If they put it on a mask, if
yes.
they had put the slogan on the mask from the jump, I think it would have changed the whole trajectory.
And then it wouldn't have been a partisan thing. It wouldn't have been well, now they're telling me to do it, so now I can't do it because my whole shtick is I'm the opposite of them. So what really did it for me is that when that audio tape came out of him doing that interview with the guy, and he's telling the guy, oh yeah, it's bad.
Yeah.
It's airborne.
Worse than the
It'll
flu,
kill you.
Airborne. Yep.
Once he said that out of his mouth, I don't care how you want to argue for or against this guy. We all got to use our common sense. Once the man said it himself, oh yeah, they told me what it was. I believe him. But hey, what do you want to do? You want everybody to panic? Yeah. Let everybody get scared, do the right thing. And we could have been done with this thing in June, man. But and now look at it. And here's how I know that a lot of the doctors that people are saying, they don't know what they're talking about. They all said, hey, wait till it gets cold. It's going to get even worse.
They did.
And it did. So I'm not believing a president who thinks he knows everything. I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, or Bernie Sanders, whatever he lies in the whole equation. But I do know at the end of the day, it is your job to say, just to err on the safe side, it looks stupid, but let's do it.
Let's
Let's wear this mask and and get it over with. Now look at us. We stuck. Now he want credit for the vaccine though.
He does. He does want credit for the vaccine. But I mean, we could give it to him because there's a possibility we wouldn't need it.
Call it. You can call it the Trump the Trump juice. All I care. I don't care, bro. Just leave. Just leave. Just you lost. Leave. You know
I was excited to see that the Supreme Court actually struck down. Because I live in Texas, so of course I've been getting lots of DMs. Are you excited that you're still in Texas? Y'all should go ahead and succeed. All this other stuff, and so I was excited to see the Supreme Court shut that down.
So, Joe Rogan and Chappelle are hanging out in Austin right now. Of course, Rogan moved there, but they're doing shows in Austin right now. And, Texas has become extremely popular this last month because even though they have nothing to do with nothing they are filing a court case to the Supreme Court on how other states are handling their election. And so at the end of the day, my opinion is you had this plan. And what you didn't realize, and this is just me being real, bro, because you know me, I've been an independent for a while. I've been making money for a while. And I'm very I think I'm decent with money, even though I don't put it all in the right places. I don't spend it. You know what I mean? So I feel like when it comes to tax breaks, I'm like, yeah, I don't think Bush did that bad. And I don't think this president did that bad because I just know the tax code and who they try to take care of first. You know what I mean? But when it comes to your plan of we're going to put all these justices everywhere, and we're going to put justices on the Supreme Court, and we're going to do X, Y, and Z, because just in case we lose this election, we'll have the people, our people, vote on our side. It only makes me say to everybody, the people this man appointed was like, hell no.
They were more loyal to the law.
You lost.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And more importantly than that, if you look at the bigger picture, Trump got played so bad by Mitch McConnell that it is ridiculous. And now all Mitch has to do is continue to agree with him until he's finally done. But everything Mitch wanted, 3 conservative justices, he got them.
Got him. 300
conservative federal justices all over the country, he got them. He didn't let Barack put any of his justices in. He rolled a dice. Lo and behold, Trump wins. They got the Senate. Now they rolling. And everything that he wanted to do, he did. Everything he felt like it was in his favor to block, he did. Yep. Even when it came to his own local election, his whole jurisdiction was the first people pulling mailboxes out of neighborhoods and taking sorting machines out of. So you can't tell me Mitch McConnell ain't playing from a dirty playbook when it comes to elections, right? And here's what I always said about Atlanta. There is no way the rest of the state has more diverse, progressive people than Atlanta, Marietta, Gwinnett, Cobb, Decatur, whatever. So when you tell me we lost because of Macon, Georgia outvoted us, something is going on with the ballots. And this time, I think when Stacey Abrams lost the governorship the first time, she was hell-bent on making sure everybody was in the right place to watch the count, because there's no way when Atlanta has 7 million people, in the surrounding areas, that you just lost an election by 200,000 votes when everybody knew we were voting. Everybody knew we were voting. We're voting this year, right? We vote?
Yeah, we're voting.
Yeah, we voting, right? The black girl, we gonna vote. And we still lost by that many votes when you was up by 6 points going into it. We was like, nah, man, they threw out all them damn votes. So we've seen it all, bro. I've seen Georgia turn blue. I've seen
parts of Texas have turned as well. My own county, I'm in Tarrant County. Mm-hmm. I did not expect it. Now, this quick story about Tarrant County. When the Black Lives Matters protests began, there were some protests in Dallas happening, and my wife and I were driving around Mansfield, which is the town right over from us in Tarrant County, and there are Caucasian high schoolers
Mm-hmm.
with Black Lives Matter signs.
Mm-hmm.
I was concerned. I was like, where are their parents? And I look into the crowd. I'm like, oh, they're their parents sitting there handing out the water bottles. I was like, where am I? And this is in the heart of Texas.
What I love about Texas is that you feel extremely safe and comfortable until you don't.
Until you don't. Yeah. I can go 2 miles that way. So
until you don't.
We went house shopping during COVID, just doing some drive around. And we went, there was this house that seemed to be priced really well. Lots of space. Like, all right, let's go look at it. Man, we turned down the street. It was Trump flag, Trump flag, Trump flag, Trump flag. I said, nope, we're going to just turn around. We don't need to go further into this neighborhood. I'm good.
Right.
I'm good.
And it's not that you don't deserve the right to live there, or you just, you know what I don't like? I don't like the fact that it has been proven and well documented. You will come into my yard and knock on my door if there's something you don't like. And then that's where the confrontation starts.
Mm-hmm.
I could care less how many flags you got in your yard. Don't tell me how to walk my dog, raise my kid, put up my water hose, cut my grass. Don't come in my yard finding a reason to complain that I just moved into your neighborhood, but you're going to blame it on something else. Mm. And those are the Karens. And I think neighborhoods matter. You know what I mean? And what's so funny is that they've always gentrified our neighborhoods and taken over property and switched historically Black neighborhoods to like half and half. But just to move into a neighborhood and you be the first. I have a friend that did that in Atlanta. He's the first to move into this neighborhood, but he immediately put his University of Tennessee sign, flag in his yard, but nothing political. Mm. But he says because he went to the University of Tennessee, everybody is just like, volunteers. It's more about football and sports because, of course, we're Bulldogs and this and that and da-da-da-da. People are Ole Miss rebels living in this neighborhood. But the fact that he put up this Tennessee flag, they're like, all right. And it's totally off of politics and skin color. Now it's just about everybody. He said different people started putting their school flags in their yard. Mm. And I just found that hilarious. And he said everybody's real cool and treats them nice. And, but he knows that they're Republicans and he's let them know that he's not. Mm. But he's not. He says, but do I feel the need to put a Stacey Abrams flag, in my yard? No, I don't. I just don't, And I'm like, I get it. I understand that. Peace of mind, bro. Your neighborhood should be a peace of mind sort of thing.
Yeah.
And the whole sense of community is let's look out for everybody since we all live, live here, let's look out. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
My first recollection of money as a kid was not only the tooth fairy, but was that I grew up in the days of real ice cream trucks. And when you heard that bell, you knew the ice cream man was coming. And we had two different bells. We had a Mr. Softy and we had that white van dude who sold those Superstar blow pops, the red, the white, the blue.
Yeah.
And then the chocolate, the banana, the chocolate. And then we had our other one who actually sold ice cream. So just being as a kid, saving my nickels and dimes and finding whatever I could find in chair cushions, in the carpet or the floor seats of my mom and dad's car. That's when I started putting away money, only because I knew I wanted ice cream and I was tired of asking. Because by the time you hear the bell and by the time you actually get money from your parents, either you're running all the way down the street trying to chase a dude or he's gone. So it's like, all right, I need my own money. So for me, that was just like, 7, 8, 9. And then after that, it just became actually doing stuff in my neighborhood as far as like, we bought a lawnmower. I just cut my grass. The person next door needs their grass cut. I will cut your grass for $10. And little did I know, I should have been charging $20, but I started to become the neighborhood grass cutting guy with the lawnmower. I was the kid pushing the lawnmower up and down the street with my own gasoline can.
Salute.
So
I was doing the same.
Man.
I was doing the same. That was my first, if you want to say, real job, Wake up early Saturday morning. I'm originally from Charlotte, North Carolina. I don't know if we've talked about that before. So, growing up in the South, wake up early Saturday morning, 4 o'clock dawn. Got my gas can, and I got 3 houses I got to hit, and I'm trying to be done by noon. Because once it got hot, I was like, I'm not trying to be doing this all day long.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I also, this has nothing to do with nothing, but I always tell women, if you're looking for a good man, because you're saying there are no professional men out there, no God-fearing men, I always tell them to go to Charlotte. I say, there's dudes in Charlotte who want to get married. You better get out of Miami. You better get out of New York City or Atlanta. Go to Charlotte. Go to North Carolina. These cats in Raleigh and Charlotte and all these places, they want a God-fearing woman. They want her to have a great corporate job or whatever she wants to do, but they are looking like this is the next step in life, a great wife. So anyway, go ahead. I didn't know you were from Charlotte.
So to all of my female clients who keep asking where all the single men are, they're in Charlotte. Well, I'm not there anymore. I'm married. So yeah, you want to go find them. That's where they are. So tell me, this it sounds like, because I heard you mention earlier in our conversation, you said, and I caught it because I'm a finance guy. You said I don't spend my money. So it sounds like that ice cream experience actually still plays out for you today, where you're constantly saving your money, and waiting for the opportunity to come around, versus most people that just earn their money. And
let me tell you why. One of the reasons why I love my wife. She's over there. Go ahead.
But it sounds like that experience of I want to have my money for when the opportunity comes, versus a lot of people, they get their money and they just spend. So it sounds like that experience, it sounds like it carried over. I mean, I might be projecting a little bit, but I hope I am. Even if I am projecting, I'm okay with that.
I think everybody has a mentor. You have a mentor in the arts. If you're in the arts, there's somebody who influenced you, from a Richard Pryor all the way down to, I don't know, whoever your favorite is. Actors, actresses, Denzel. For me, Julia Roberts. I was a huge Julia Roberts fan. And then there's neighborhood heroes. We should all have neighborhood heroes outside of our family. And these are people that I call them neighborhood heroes, but these are people that you meet on your journey through life. You're going to meet them in high school. It could be a coach. You're going to meet them in college. It could be a professor. But who is in your inner community that you're seeing all the time, that inspires you, that you'll actually listen to, but you won't give them the credit for saying anything that helped you and mold you as a person? And one of my good friends is a guy named Johnny Taylor Jr. And Johnny Taylor is the president or something, this thing called Sharma. It's a job finding company, but he's had so many jobs and he's been such a mentor. But one thing I saw early, you don't know what a lot of money is in college. And I think maybe I was a sophomore or a junior, but we went to the ATM and, he had his ATM balled up and threw it on the floor, right, of the car. We drove off. We met up with our good friends or whatever, because he was a lawyer for Blockbuster Video at the time in Fort Lauderdale, Wayne Heisinger. And so, when he wasn't paying attention, I opened up the receipt. You know what I mean? And the balance said like 79,000, right? And so for me, that was the most I've ever seen on the ATM machine. I didn't even know they could print that. You know what I mean? Because I have always had or seen $80, $100.
You never saw a comma. That was the first time you saw a comma.
Yes. $312 was a lot to having somebody's pulling, because you're always getting $10 to $20 out of an ATM. So when I saw that as his balance, I didn't say anything, but I was like, dang, I think I want to be a lawyer, homie, making money. And one day we were talking, bro, and he said something that stuck with me to this day. He said, the money you have in your account, because you can get a lump sum, or you can work month after month after month and save a bunch of money, but you're going to have a lump sum in your account one day. If you don't spend it, but go to the mall look at everything you could possibly buy until you get over it. Till you walk in the mall and be like, I could get that, I could buy that, I could have that, but you don't get it. After a while, that lump sum of money in your account becomes part of your personality. It becomes who you are. Because your mood and everything about you changes if all of a sudden that money goes down to $312. That confidence you used to walk around with, and that peace of mind, and that just, I think I'm going to eat out and order a steak type of personality, it goes to, what the hell did I spend it on? Where's my money? What did I do? And all of a sudden you're back to frantic and chaos again. And that affects your relationships with others and your romance relationship and your kids, because you know you blew some money and a whole year hadn't gone by. What did you purchase? And so for me, I learned that. I learned when you get some money, you don't know what to do with it, sit on it for 6 months to a year. Don't tell nobody you got it, so nobody can give you 50 million suggestions on what to do with it. And just get used to having money. As far as I know, Black people are not used to having money. And we got to keep looking at entertainers as we know they paid, when there's so many people in finance, so many people in investment banking, so many people that's just in real estate that have money now. And yes, they put their money into flipping properties and stuff like that. But our entertainers aren't the best in showing us what they do with their money. Therefore, we can only admire them so much, right? Because give it 5 or 6 years, not only do we say they fell off, but we're like, and they broke.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when it came to this guy being my financial mentor, it stuck with me to this day, bro. I could get a check. I got a book check. I got a 3-figure book check back in 2007. It literally took me 10 years to go through all of that money. And that was me being conservative. You know what I mean? And when I say go through it, it was like, I'm going to move to California. I'm going to purchase this. I'm going to put a down payment on that. But I didn't know what to do with it for 10 years. So as I was touring and making more money, I was just watching this bank account grow. And in addition to, I should put some money over here, I should put some money over there. But what I didn't do was go out and buy a car. What I didn't do, I had a house, but what I didn't do was just go out and just lend. You know how you can just lend money to death to people?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't do that. And it wasn't that I was being mean and cruel, but I had a rule. You can only borrow your lifestyle. So you can't be hitting me up for $1,000 when you got $100 lifestyle. I'm not the guy, because I can look at how you living and be like, well, wait a minute. What do you need $1,000 for? Are you asking what you think I can afford or what you actually need? Because those are two different amounts.
Two different. Oh, yeah.
So that's what I just started doing, man. And it's worked for me all this time. And to this day in my industry, you never know, bro. I was blessed to do a Super Bowl commercial before COVID hit. I was blessed to get on a sitcom on Fox television, just going on an audition that I didn't want to go on, and ended up being on Fox on a show called Outmatched. Tisha Campbell played my wife, and we got all 13 episodes in before the studio shut down. And so I went into COVID with a huge bag. And I'm coming out of COVID like, not only do I have clarity on how I want my podcast to look, but I also have clarity on what we're going to do with this money. And then that's when my wife tapped me on my shoulder and said, we just bought a house in Grand Rapids. I'm like, that
was the ice cream truck went by. It was going by.
Right. So yeah, man.
Indeed.
But I would encourage people to do that. I'd encourage people to find somebody that they financially look up to, see what they're doing, and ask general questions. Don't get too personal, because a lot of people don't. What you mean? So ask general questions, and then say, "Hey, I want you to be my mentor. And do you have any tips and advice? And if something makes you feel comfortable, do it. But this is only in after you got used to having money in your account. You got used to walking by nice shiny toys and not purchasing them. And ask me what I drive to this day, bro. I drive a 2004 Lexus SUV that I had in Miami, Florida, the day I left Saturday Night Live. I still have that truck, and it has 123,000 miles on it, and it is 2021 coming up.
With that, I have no more words. Finesse, thank you so much for spending some time with us. Oh man, gym after gym. I want you to pause where you're listening right now, rewind it back about 9 minutes, and just listen to all of that again, because that will help you keep a lot more of what you have. It will.
It will shape your personality in a way that is unbelievable. Your self-esteem and confidence may be lacking in other areas, but financially, you're like, oh yeah, I got 100 grand in the bank. I fluctuate between 80,000 and 100 grand. How many people do I know is 100 grand liquid? You know what I mean? And then that's just your personality. And say you're a school teacher. You know how easy it is to teach kids knowing you have 100,000 grand, 100,000 in the bank liquid. It's
One
easy because you're not stressed.
one of
You
my
know.
favorite clients ever. Real quick story here. Favorite client. She passed away about almost about 10 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
The only job she ever had was a grade school teacher. She never
Mm-hmm.
did anything other than that. She never got married. She never had
Mm-hmm.
kids. She went to Vegas at least once a month, but
Mm-hmm.
she'd take the same amount of money every time. She never
Mm-hmm.
lost more than she won, and never
Mm-hmm.
won more than she lost, meaning she was always just even. She just did it for fun. She
Mm-hmm.
passed away a millionaire.
Mm.
And I asked her when I
Absolutely.
met her, I said, how did you do this? She said, my daddy told me the first I had to do some chores for
Mm-hmm.
another family member, and they gave me 4 quarters. And my daddy
Mm-hmm.
said, this 1 quarter, that's for you to keep forever. The other 3 quarters, you spend that on whatever you want, whatever toys would have you, but you always keep that first quarter. So
Mm-hmm.
for the rest of her life, she always saved 25% of every dime she earned. She
Mm-hmm.
never did anything other than teach grade school in LA, and she died a millionaire.
I'm telling you, that compound interest of you saving money and not spending money is almost just as good as you making money at 12 to 18%, but then spending the gains.
Yep. Yep. I tell clients all the time, you are the single greatest contributor to your future financial independence. It's you. It's not the stock market. It's not what you didn't have to pay in taxes. It's not the inheritance that you'll receive. Now, mind you, there's a few people that might get a sizable inheritance, but it is
Mm-hmm.
your ability to put money away. If you can
Right.
just do that one and not touch it, oh my, who cares what the stock market does? You're always putting it in. And when it goes crazy, when things go down, you're still putting in. So you get to buy things at amazing prices. But that's a
Absolutely.
show for another podcast. But man, no, I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for dropping so many gems. I cannot wait to go listen to your next episode. So everyone, please, as soon as you finish this one, go ahead and queue up Understand This. I'd actually start with, if I had to pick one, it'd be the Kenan Thompson episode. I'm a huge Saturday Night Live fan. By the way, loved you on Saturday Night Live as well. Always been a Saturday
Thank you,
Night Live
brother.
fan. That is one of the apps that almost got the chopping block is the Peacock app.
All
I
right.
made the
Right.
mistake and I bought it, and I was like, oh, they'll have the Olympics and all this other stuff, and now I'm addicted to watching old Saturday Night Live episodes. So I
What's been a blessing for me and my family is that I was on a show called Ant Farm on the Disney Channel, and it's streaming now on Disney Plus. And so you just think how are you going to make money during a time when in my business I can't go out and make money, and then I get this letter in the mail from Disney that like good news, all our episodes are streaming. So when you're on a show like a Disney Channel show that gets played twice a day and now it's streaming, and then the Saturday Night Live reruns. I've done so many projects in my career, bro, that it's fun going to the mailbox just to see what's in there. And because we do get a lot of royalties, but it's only over a body of 20 years of work. But I tell people all the time, I am out of the business. I'm like J. Cole. I am out of the business of buying whatever I thought I needed to buy to make me feel a certain way. And now I just invest my time and energy into relationships, my wife, my kids, my podcast, and me touring. And now that makes me feel a certain way. And I'm just as rich.
mm. Well, get back to those wife and kids again. Bless you, brother. Thank you for spending some time with us. I will see you when I see
Babe,
you.
come say what's up.
Yeah, come say what's up.
Hurry up.
Who is that? Hi.
Hello, how are you?
John, all right. Yeah, man. Thank you for having me on. My podcast is called Understand This, and you can go to understandthispodcast.com or go to finessemitchell.com. And follow me on Instagram, Finesse Mitchell, Twitter, Finesse Mitchell, Clubhouse, Finesse Mitchell, Facebook, Finesse Mitchell, Finesse Mitchell.
There you go. Appreciate you,
Hey,
brother.
Georgia, go out and vote, baby. You got 2 seats to fill. I don't care which way you vote, but if they go the wrong way, don't blame nobody but yourself. Show that same energy and passion that you did in the election.
Thanks for joining us on the Money Script podcast. Be sure to check out our other episodes, subscribe, follow, and give us 5 stars. Continue to send your financial questions on Twitter or Instagram at the Money Script. Go to moneyscriptwealth.com and schedule your complimentary consultation to discuss your specific goals and concerns. Financial advisory and investment management services are offered by Money Script Wealth Management PLLC, a registered investment advisory firm registered in the state of Texas and California and other states where exempt. The Money Script LLC and the Money Script Wealth Management PLLC and guests of the episode may have interest in the investments mentioned today. The opinions and views are expressed here are for informational purposes only. This material is educational in nature and should not be deemed as a solicitation for any specific product or service. All investments involve risk and a significant loss of principal. The Money Script nor Money Script Wealth Management offer tax or legal advice. Please consult your tax advisor or attorney for specific advice about your situation. Until next time.